Well, management in general needs to, first of all, again, understand the framework itself, and in that understanding, the framework outlines 17 principles that underline the 5 components that need to be addressed. And I think it would be helpful for management to go through each of those 17 principles and think about how they're applied and what support the organization has that those principles have been effectively addressed. And think about that both in terms of external financial reporting objectives, but think about it in terms of compliance and operational aspects of the enterprise as well.
Well, as we all know, it's management's responsibility to design and implement an internal control framework. And I think internal auditors are ideally suited to assist management in that regard by helping management to understand what the framework consists of, what are the key elements, and to be an advisor and a source of assistance for management as they go through a process of transitioning to the COSO framework that was recently launched.
Well, I think there are 2 first steps that management should take. First, appoint someone as what I'll call the subject matter expert to really understand the updated framework and what the changes are and what hasn't changed, etc. And then to use that information to discuss and communicate and assess what are the likely implications at the 40,000 foot level to the organization, both implications in terms of the control system itself and implication as it relates to documentation of the system.
There are a few ways that it'll immediately affect management and audit committees from certainly my perspective. You know, the 1992 framework will be sunset at the end of 2014, so organizations need to think about how it's going to assess and evaluate the 2013 framework and begin to integrate it into its processes. The transition period then to the new framework needs to be complete by December 14th of 2014 because of the fact that the 1992 framework will be sunset by that time. And management and audit committees now really need to understand the key changes and understand who will lead and own the transition plan within their organization.
Well, the audit committee and of course even the full board, it has some very important responsibilities and oversight. And it's important not only that they have oversight of the risks and the way that risks are managed within the company, but to ensure that the internal controls that are designed and implemented to mitigate those risks are in place and working as intended. They rely on the external auditors to be able to provide them some assurance around the overall effectiveness of controls for financial reporting outside the company, but they also look to internal auditors to provide them with assurance over all controls, not just financial controls, but over the effectiveness of all controls within the company itself. So yes, the audit committee and in fact the full board should be very interested in the new framework. And the question that they should be asking internal audit and management is, are we going to be fully aligned with the implementation of this framework by December 14th of 2014?
And I certainly would look to internal auditors, first of all, to understand how the company is applying and considering the new framework. In other words, how are they set up to understand the changes and how the implications of the new framework affect the organization. And importantly, I think the audit committee should inquire and consider, well, are there opportunities because of the robustness of the new framework and the 17 principles that are articulated to go beyond just a compliance mindset to see if there are opportunities to apply the framework in a way that's be helpful to objectives that hadn't previously been considered.